Hello again, everybody. This is Rocket Rick J18, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the getting ready for the National, and also some cards that I picked up recently. So let's just jump into it. As I'm sure everybody knows by now, PSA, SGC, and I believe it's CSG are all going to be grading cards at the National and delivering those cards back to you at the National. This is significant, I think, for people who are a little concerned with sending valuable cards through the mail, even insured, and all the promises and everything that go along with that. But anyway, these are some cards that I've acquired, not necessarily recently, but which I'm going to take with me and look into the possibility of getting some of them graded. Doubtful that they would all get graded because of the cost, but I know PSA's announced that they're going to charge $150 per card. Well, that's beyond my capabilities. You know, I might be able to afford to get one, maybe two graded at that price, but not 10 or 12. Same thing. The SGC is going to do it for $35 a card, and I believe it's CSG is the third one, and I think they're doing it for $25 a card. Now that's a bit more realistic. You could see doing some of these, maybe one or two in PSA, or maybe a couple in SGC, and then maybe the others. So we'll look into that. So this is sort of, as you'll see, the theme here, the cards that are considered players of players who are considered to be the greatest of all time in their sports, or among the, maybe the better term is the greats of all time. And I'm going to start off with a card that I'm sure everybody knows about. This is the 1986-87 Fleer Michael Jordan card, and as you can see, this card's a little bit off center, but has four pretty sharp corners, no marks on it, registration is decent. Here's the back of the card, no problems with it, and some of the surface effects that you might be able to see on this can be attributable to the penny sleeve and then the top loader. They're not necessarily all on the card, or maybe any of them, to be honest. So there's this one's going to go, and probably if I'm going to get it graded, I'm probably going to go with PSA on this card, simply because it's a card that I'm not really a basketball card collector. I have some basketball cards, but baseball is by far and away my primary sport. So we'll see what develops. Here's another Jordan card from the next set, the 1987-88 set, and again, it's in pretty good condition, so I don't know what kind of a grade we might get, but I would hope maybe at least a 7. Here's a few football cards. And and one of them is the Jim Brown rookie card from the 1958 set. Brown, as you know, played 9 years in the NFL and retired at somewhere around the age of 30, when he just said, hey, I got other things I want to do in my life besides play football. And he left at what most people consider to be the very apex of his game. He led the National Football League in rushing 8 of the 9 years. The 1 year that he didn't lead the National League in rushing, he played the whole season with a broken toe, which probably did limit his effectiveness. He's the only NFL running back to average over 100 yards per game for his entire career and over 5 yards per carry for his entire career. A special player. Certainly, I don't think anyone would argue that he's one of the greats of all time. A lot of people would argue, including myself, that he's the greatest of all time. But there are other candidates, and, you know, one man's opinion is certainly as good as any other person's opinion. So I don't claim to be the keeper of all knowledge by any means. So that's the Jim Brown rookie card. The next card is a 1964, and frankly, I'm not sure. This might be a Philadelphia card. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But this is his 1964 card, which I think is an interesting card, simply because it looks like it was taken in the parking lot. You know, which is just an odd place, I think, for a setting for a professional athlete to have the photograph taken for, you know, to be included in a playing card set. Anybody knows more about that, you know, certainly comment, and would like to know more about that card. The next card is a 1961 Topps card celebrating his rushing title. As you can see, he gained 1,257 yards in that season. Pretty good effort. Tough guy to bring down. That's against the Giants there. I think that might be Sam Huff that's bearing down on him. I'm not sure. Huff was number 70, and my eyes aren't good enough to read that. So here's Jim Brown again. The next card is also from the 1958 Topps football set. This is Johnny Unitas. Again, arguably, I don't think anyone would argue that he's one of the greats of all time. Some might consider him to be the greatest quarterback of all time. He certainly would be up there among them. Johnny Unitas. Another guy that won several world championships during his time with the Green Bay Packers, Bart Starr, came out of the University of Alabama. Another famous Alabama quarterback was Joe Namath. Ken Stabler played at Alabama. So a lot of good quarterbacks come out of Alabama, including recent days. Starr played on, I believe, 5 NFL titles, 2 Super Bowls, just a winner, considered to be a pretty cerebral player. Later, actually, you know, the extension of Coach Lombardi on the field. Those two were in sync, maybe more so than many quarterbacks and head coaches. More recently, you might think of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, but it's history goes back a long ways. So those are cards that I'm thinking about possibly grading. I do have one more here. I got out of the stack somehow or another, but this is a Joe Montana rookie card. Another guy that won several titles with the San Francisco 49ers, 4, I believe, and certainly considered to be among the greats of all time. So here's a card that I picked up recently. We're going to get into those cards. This is a modern card. This is from the Topps Project 70 collection, and that, of course, is Mickey Mantle, one of several of his Project 70 cards, but the latest one to be added to my collection. Many of you might know from prior videos, I showed off some Domingo Germán cards. This is the Topps Now card celebrating his perfect game. And of course, as we've discussed, and all of you probably know already anyway, New York Yankees pitchers have pitched 4 perfect games in the history of the franchise. The first one being Don Larson's perfect game in Game 5 of the 1956 World Series. The only perfect game or no-hitter in World Series play, although Roy Halladay pitched a no-hitter in the playoffs, but not in the World Series. That's Domingo Germán. I'm sure all of you also know that I collect modern cards, cards of this young man, Gunnar Henderson. As I say, he's my, somebody said he's my next door neighbor-in-law. He grew up in the house next door to my daughter-in-law, which is a tenuous connection, but even so, it's kind of fun, and we have a lot of fun with his cards. This is from the Heritage set, Gunnar Henderson. Another Gunnar Henderson card. This is from his rookie year, which is this year, 2023, and included in this Bowman's set. Bowman, is it Bowman Chrome? No, just Bowman. Included in this Bowman set were Rookie of the Year favorites and several players, including Gunnar Henderson. I didn't think he was going to necessarily have that great of a rookie year, but boy, he's turned it around recently and really playing well and hitting well. So he might have a shot at it. 2023 Gunnar Henderson. And this next one is a 2021 card. It's a Bowman Chrome Prospect card. And this is a gem mint. I don't know whether this is called Sapphire. I think maybe it is. I'm not sure 100%, but that's Gunnar's 2021 card. So also my YouTube friend Scott Stukes Sport Cards and Curiosities, a great collector of exhibit cards, as you might know. And Exhibit was a company who made cards, large format cards, postcard size, to be marketed in vending machines. And they started out, I know in the early 20s at least, and issued cards up through 1966, I'm thinking. The last series Began in 1947 and went through 1966. You can tell something about how old they are, and I don't know all the details of this by memory, but there are a series of cards with salutations on them, cordially yours, sincerely yours, very truly yours, etc., etc. Those, I believe, are from the pre-war series, and then in the latest series, some of them will say printed in the USA, some will say made in the USA, and you can get an idea of approximately. Some of them had stats on the back of the cards. We'll look at one of those here in a minute. But this is Roy Campanella, terrific batting pose there. Roy Campanella, one of the greatest catchers ever, three-time MVP, one-time world champion, 1955, and many-time National League champions. That's Roy Campanella. Here's another World Series hero, Lou Burdett. Won 3 games in the 1957 World Series, which the Braves beat the Yankees 4-3. Lou Burdett, I believe, is from Nitro, West Virginia. He's somewhere down in that area, Dunbar, Scott Depot. I might be wrong about Nitro, but I'm right about West Virginia. So that's Lou Burdett. Some of you may know this guy, pitched for the Pirates, very good pitcher, was later the water commissioner for the city of Pittsburgh, Bob Friend. And what always catches my interest about Bob Friend is, some of you may know, in my previous life, I was a lawyer, and we had a lawyer in my little town named Bob Friend, and his when he ran for judge, he ran under the byline of "Your Friend Bob Friend." So whenever I see a baseball card of Bob Friend, I think of "Your Friend Bob Friend." So that's Bob Friend. This card is a team card, and it pictures the 1950 World Series champion New York Yankees. Mickey Mantle is not pictured on this card, so I'll have to go through that and see if maybe Joe DiMaggio is. But in any case, they had team cards. Exhibit had team cards. He's got a card of the New York Giants. The Brooklyn Dodgers has a card. Several of the Yankee teams have cards. Here is an exhibit card of the Yankee third baseman Gil McDougall. You might remember him as the player who hit the baseball that crashed into Herb Score's face and severely injured him. Anyway, McDougall had a roughly 10-year Major League Baseball career. I'm not really sure exactly why he stopped playing in 1960, but there's probably a story in that too that we'll have to look up someday. And then the next 2 cards are variations of, and probably because they were taken at different times. Well, certainly because they were taken at different times, as you will see. This picture was taken in 1951, and it's Willie Mays, and you can see he's wearing the New York Giants logo on his cap, and also a patch which connected to the 1951 season. So that's Willie Mays. And the next card is from the year 1962, and it's the same Willie Mays, but this time pictured in a San Francisco Giants hat. And this card is a little bit different. All the other exhibit cards have blank backs, nothing on them at all. But in 1962, the exhibit issued cards with stats on the back. So I'm kind of tilting this to get a little of the glare off of it. You can kind of see that these are from the 1962 season. So it says 1962 exhibits, but they probably were issued in 1963, although possibly at the very end of 1962, after the World Series was finished, after the season was finished at least. So I got one more card to show you, and this is a card which I'm going to show you in its plastic covering, courtesy of eBay and their authentication. So it's a little bit about the card, and it's a little bit about the packaging. So this is a card of Babe Ruth from the Sanella Margarine set of 1932. I wanted to try to get a playing days Babe Ruth. As you know, they're all expensive. This card is probably a little less expensive than most. So this is the 1932 Sanella Margarine. It's a German company, and so I'm going to show you the back of the card, which you can see is in German. So that's kind of interesting. You can also see the packaging. It's in kind of a baggie. It's got hologram seals on it and a QR code seal down there at the bottom. If you tamper with those, then whatever value the eBay authentication has is voided. And but you'll also note that this is a card that has already been authenticated and graded by PSA when it was put in this slab. So my question for the YouTube community is, do you think this eBay authentication has any value at all in view of the fact that it's already authenticated by PSA? And if you do think it has some value, what value do you think it has? My real concern is that this doesn't display very well. I mean, it's a cheap baggie with a couple of hologram seals on it, and that's the only thing that really tells you that it was authenticated by eBay. It doesn't look very attractive, and I'd kind of like to just give up the value of the eBay authentication, if there is any even. So I'm interested in your thoughts. Hope you'll comment below. I'm just super excited about going to the National this year, mostly because I'm hoping to meet many of the friends that I've made in the eBay community since I started making content in February of this year. Really excited about that, and I'm not gonna try to name folks, because sure as I do, I'll forget somebody that I really would feel terrible about not mentioning. So in any case, I'm really looking forward to it. My wife is coming with me. I don't know if anybody else is bringing their spouses along with them. She says she's going to go to the convention center on Saturday, She's going to Thursday and Friday. She's going to go into Chicago and do some sightseeing and what have you. But she's going to come on Saturday and walk around with me and see some of the. She's been watching a lot of the videos, as have I, of many of these YouTubers that have much more experience and knowledge and than I have. But she likes quite a few of them herself, just as a casual observer of a baseball card fanatic. We got that going for us, and I think that'll be kind of cool. As most of you know, I've committed to trying to locate and purchase a 1949 Bowman Satchel Paige rookie and a 1949 Bowman Richie Ashburn rookie. And I mentioned those two specifically because they are the final two cards to complete my 240 card base card set. As I've mentioned before, I do not pretend to have a complete set beyond the base cards of all the variations, of which there are many, and I think all of which Dave Blue Jacket 66 has shown on his channel, and what a magnificent collection that is. I doubt if I have a card that is in the condition of his cards. That's certainly not on average by any means. I'm also very interested in what kind of progress our Dave Canadian Cards makes in completing his 49 Bowman base card set. His set looks a lot like the cards I've collected, and he and I did a kind of a help each other out sort of thing earlier this year, and I sent him I think maybe a dozen 49 Bowman cards from my collection that were duplicates. They were sitting in a little cardboard box in my basement, collecting who knows what, and I thought, well, they'll look a lot better in his binder than they will inside that cardboard box in my basement. So they got a new home, and that's I think that's, I was happy to do it, and he's a great guy, and he's really diligently working on his set. It's come a long way in the last 4 or 5 months, and he's got some big cards to get, but he's almost 2/3 of the way through it. I think he's like 1 card short of being 2/3 completed. So good luck to him. I hope he knocks quite a few of them out this week. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. If you like this sort of thing, be sure to hit the like button as many times as you want to. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you would consider subscribing. I just passed 130 subscribers recently, which I was stuck around 90 for a while, and I got a big bump when I was invited to appear on 3D 80 Cards channel. His show is, what is it he calls it? Anyway, untouched and unaltered and so forth. Anyway, he just films it, and then whatever it is what it is, which I think is kind of cool. And then right after that, I was on a live stream with Lou Rock and Orlando, and trying to think of who else was on that. But anyway, I had a great time, and I'm so thrilled. I'm struggling to remember the details of it now, but I saved it. So my wife liked it, and I liked it, and so my wife's name is Judy, by the way. And in case you're interested, she's the J in Rocket Rick J18. And someday I'll tell you the story about how that handle came to be. It sort of evolved in an interesting series of events. So anyway, that's it for today. This is Rocket Rick J18, wishing that all your collecting dreams come true.